Hello, everybody. My name is Bill. Welcome back to the off-season edition of NCAA Football 7 Dynasty Mode Explanations. As you can see, we have moved on from the Atlantic side of the ACC to the coastal side of the ACC, and we will start off with the coastal champions in Miami. As hold on, let me see if that helps me. Yeah, I think that might have made things worse. That's really good for eating bacon before a film. Try to see it a bit better. There we go, that works. Good job. Anyway, Miami finished the year off 8-6 after starting off 1-3. That's a pretty decent finish right there. Their biggest win, best win I have to say, was week 4 against North Texas, which, yeah, like I said, they were 0-3 heading into that game. And winning 38-6 against North Texas kind of helped build up their momentum there. Their worst loss, though, was in the Chick-fil-A Bowl to South Carolina, a team that was struggling severely, 35-21. Their grades, they bounced back from an awful beginning, like I said. They caught fire at the right time, and they have lots of talent to keep the team being as good as it is. For improvement, they need to begin a bit better, starting off the year 0-3 with how much talent this team has. It really was kind of disappointing to see. That's why they were in the bottom 10 at the beginning of the year, because as they were top 5, I want to say, at the beginning of the year, top 3 maybe, and they fall completely out of the rankings and are off to maybe the worst start the school ever had. And before real life nowadays, no, not being as good as they are nowadays in real life, but anyways, my loss for this team is the Hurricanes are very good. That's why I opened up my year with them. That's probably one reason why I didn't put my beginning win over them as their worst loss, because I knew how that's probably why they got into that slump, was because of that big ol' loss at home. Being shown up on your home turf against an opponent that you thought you could be able to handle, but apparently they handled you a lot better. They had a bad slump at the beginning of the year, managed to turn around, even stealing conference championship spot over Virginia, which I know I stated before. I believe that I overlooked that matchup because, then again, there were already so many other great games. I mean, I know I could have squeezed in 1 or 2 more, because I managed to do 10, and one time I know I did 6. I normally try to stick with 5, though, with the poll system that YouTube had, but I think the poll system's gone now, so I could do as many games as I want. I'll think on that in a bit during the off season, depending on how many good games there are. And anyway, they should keep their momentum going next season, and I do have high hopes for them next season, unless I decide to throw them on the schedule again, and then let's just see what happens. And now the team that they beat, Virginia, the Cavaliers, are 9-4. They had their best win of the year, being up against, I'm trying to make this a bit easier on me here. Let's see. Best win was week 3 at Mickey, like I said over here in the Atlantic part, it being Mickey's worst loss. It was Virginia's best win, 63-29. The worst loss was that week 13 matchup against Miami, 31-24, because they stole that spot with that matchup, because like I said, I didn't even think of that matchup, to be honest. And they brought the best they had this year, which is always good to ask for. They have a wonderful passing attack and a great defense. For improvements, they just need to try to beat Miami next year. If they keep this momentum going, they could be able to easily beat Miami next year and go in the conference championship game. And Virginia has been successful this entire season but came up short against Miami. They have the momentum to carry into next season as long as they do great recruiting. I slept on their matchup with the Hurricanes this year, and I won't overlook it next year because that should be a very, very good matchup to talk about. Like the Florida Tennessee matchup I talked about, like week 4, week 5, one of the two, how that was a good rivalry rematch. This one's going to have the same implications, I believe. Virginia Tech now, a 6-6 record, with their best win being in week 8 against Maryland, 44-28, and their worst loss was to rival Virginia, 49-21. They have the best defense in the division, and for their offense, I would say for their improvements, mainly is on the offensive side of the ball. The Hokies are a decent team. They normally do well, but this year wasn't a good year for them. I mean, 500 isn't that bad, per se. It's just, you kind of expect a little bit more out of them. Maybe 7, 8 wins, maybe, possibly even, if you're lucky, a conference championship berth. But, to each their own. I see them as a potential contender in the division because of their defense. They do need to go into recruiting and probably get some better offense, or hope their offensive players can improve well after last season. Because granted, out of everybody, they're not bad. Like I said, they're decent. They just need to take that next step forward to be able to actually go ahead and get into the top tier here for the ACC. And now let's finally get out of the state of Virginia and step into North Carolina with the next two teams, starting with, North Carolina. As you can see, they finished a sub 500, 5-7. Excuse me there. With their best win being at Duke, 35-30. Nothing like getting a win over a rival. And their worst loss was in week 10 against Notre Dame, 31-9. I say that's their worst loss because it's the only loss they had where they did not score double-digit points. Some of the greats for North Carolina is they have some young talent. A young quarterback in the making that could easily lead this team into some success. And they got some great talent, like I said, young talent as well. They just need to get some better chemistry as their improvement. North Carolina has a good team. They just need more chemistry to be able to get to at least 500. And all I can say is I do wish them best of luck. Maybe they can surprise me and make it a bowl game next year, because I don't expect much from some teams and they surprise me. Like Northern Illinois, I didn't expect much from them this year. I'll explain a bit more when I get to them, possibly, if I remember. But they surprised me by making it all the way to a 13-1 record. They surprised me that well. So anything can happen in the world of virtual college football. Led by a young fellow named Caleb Hansen, I'd see him leading this team to some success next season, as he's kind of been building on making this team good. I mean, I think first year of this Dynasty, they went 3-9, then they went 4-8, now they're 5-7, so they're starting to improve. Or if you give them a few more years, this team will be competing for ACC championships. Now we go from North Carolina to their most hated rival in Duke, the Blue Devils. They finished the year with a 3-9 record. Their best win was in week 7 at Georgia Tech, 28-23, and their worst loss was in week 5 at Virginia Tech, 48-9. They have a great passing attack. They just need to get a better defense to hold them back, because Yeah, allowed 438 points is not the best of ways to go. Granted, Miami allowed 480, but you take 210 off of that board. They allowed actually 370. You know, Duke has a good passing attack, but that's about it. There's not that much of an upside to them, as I could see, because a lot of their positions, like all the good players, are like juniors and seniors, and they could be heading off into the draft. And their young players are just, they don't think they might be able to improve all that much potentially. And the Devils will have to hope to score in recruiting because they will need help. Honestly, my personal unprofessional opinion in this, I say unprofessional because I'm not paid to be a virtual sports broadcaster, you know. No, if I were a fan of this team, I'd stick to cheering for the basketball team. Because, let's face it, Duke's never been known for football, and the only reason why they're somewhat known for football is because of Daniel Jones, current quarterback of the New York Giants. Danny Dimes, as they like to call him, although when he makes mistakes, he's more of Danny Derp. But hey, what can you do? Hopefully, Duke could surprise me as well next year. Like, I have no expectations for them next year. I'll go and say that. I have no expectations for them. Watch them surprise me. And now, to finish off the ACC, last but not least, the team that made it to the national championship game last year, Georgia Tech. They went 4-8. Their best win was in Week 4 at Louisiana Monroe, 49-7, and the worst loss was just the week before that at Virginia Tech, 56-14. They have a wonderful head coach, and they have the guts to go for it on fourth down. From what I could find this team, they were the best in the conference and going for it on fourth down. They just need to improve a bit more on offense and their passing defense. They should be solid. And the head coach here, Roman Reigns, has to be upset. After leading his team to the national championship 1 year ago, just 1 year ago, they were on top of the mountain. They were on top of the world. Just to get brought back down by McNair Central, but hey, they were on top of the world. They felt like everything could go their way. They felt like they could do anything, be anything. And his team comes up with this for this year. A 4-8 record, 1-7 in conference play. They probably one of the worst seasons they've ever had. And Kansas State, when I get to them in the Big 12, they went 4-8 after I beat them in the first national championship game. So, and then Kansas State turned around and had a winning record. So maybe Georgia Tech's going to be the same way, in the same boat. Of course, Roman Reigns is kind of having to go back and forth between being head coach here and also former WWE. Him being the tribal chief. The tribal chief ain't happy with this. Not making the head of the table happy. And, whatever other 50 nicknames WWE gave him. There's nothing else to do for them but look up. Because, like I said, Kansas State made national championship first year, had a losing record the next year, and now back with a winning record this year. They do hope next season goes better because it's going to be a long off season for the Yellow Jackets. I can only hope that they can improve and be successful in their endeavors, and maybe I'll run into them in the national championship again next year. One can only say. Now, after this, I am going off to the Big Ten, which 1 week they gave the Big Ten championships to Wisconsin, and then the next week they gave it to Penn State. So, yeah, this is going to be a lot of fun talking about this conference right here. You know, it's going to be a lot of fun. It's also going to be my longest episode, considering that they do not have a separation divider like the ACC does, or the Big 12. As you can see, Big 12 North and South, Big 10 just the Big 10. But until then, I will see you all next time.